I welcome the opportunity to say a few words. On the budget, the first, hopefully, of a series of budgets that will start giving money back to people. And as the previous speaker, the minister, said, this isn't by accident. It's because of the work that has been done over the last number of years to correct our finances that we are in a position to do this. That we have got our deficit under control, and that's because of the growth in the economy over the last number of years, which has occurred because of the series of measures put in, whether it be in the tourism sector or other sectors, to boost our growth levels. In relation to certain elements of the budget, in relation to taxation, I welcome the changes that took place, and obviously work has to pay, and the measures put forward in the budget were there to help working families, to raise the standard rate tax band by €1,000, to cut the rate of tax, top rate of tax from 41 to 40%. The changes in the USC, which will, especially for those at the lower level, the USC reductions, and the increasing of the bands at which stage people become liable to pay USC. And this is something that many people have a huge aversion, obviously, to all tax, but certainly to the USC, which is regarded as being a temporary tax and an austerity tax and even a Fianna Fáil tax. And it's important over the forthcoming years that we see a gradual reduction in that USC. The pension levy also, obviously the pension levy has been used over a number of years to boost job growth, and it's had a positive effect on the sector. On the sectors that it was used for. We've seen growth in those sectors, in tourism and the hospitality sector. So it has worked, but as we see now, it's time to end that levy. And I welcome the commitment that it will be abolished entirely next year and reduced from 0.75 to 0.15% by the end of 2015. In relation to social protection, there has been some increases in the child allowance, and we need to push on with the housing assistance payment, which helps a person with housing costs, and unlike the rent supplement, continues to be provided after a person takes up a job. I've mentioned the tourism sector, very important to my constituency in Galway West and on the West Coast. We've seen the success of the wonderful initiative that is the Wide Atlantic Way, which was introduced by the previous minister for transport and tourism, and this has been hugely successful on the West Coast. It really is, and only this week, for the 2015 edition of Lonely Planet, the Wide Atlantic Way has been cited as one of the must-see places in the world, and that's going to be very positive. The 9% VAT rate, which was introduced in 2011, has been, as I said, a huge success in terms of the hospitality and tourism sector. It's hugely important. There was a big campaign to retain it. I'm very happy that it has been retained, and as the minister said, it's important that those reductions are being passed on to consumers as well. I also welcome the decision not to increase excise duty. I've raised this in the Dáil just before budget week in terms of the drinks industry. Not that I'm promoting alcohol or anything like that, but I mean I cited the importance of supporting and helping retain jobs and create more jobs, particularly in our rural pubs, which are the mainstay in many ways of the tourism sector, but also are a focal point for rural populations in many cases where there is a falling population. I welcome the provision of the funding for the sports capital grant, which is hugely successful. Like, you can never have enough money for sports capital grant. It's highly sought finances, but very important for clubs to put in place much needed sporting and community facilities. The previous speaker mentioned housing, and this is one of the areas. Obviously, we know we have a housing shortage, and we also know that housing creates jobs, and any initiatives that can be put in place to help boost and stimulate the construction sector have to be welcomed. I welcome the commitment of the €2.2 billion over the next number of years in relation to social housing. I think it's hugely important that money is provided. Also, the home renovation initiative, which was extended to tenants to allow them to renovate their own houses, houses that they are letting. Again, the standard of substandard accommodation that is available to some in the rental market is not good enough, and this scheme will hopefully allow people do up the houses for the rental market, and that's up to the 31st of December 2015. I welcome also the Living Cities initiative, which has been proven out for the EU to help regenerate urban areas in Galway and other cities, but that will safeguard architectural heritage. And finally, I'd just like to commend the range of taxation measures which have been enacted in relation to the agricultural sector, in relation to farming, which is hugely important to stimulate our most important primary indigenous industry.